All right, let's jump right in. We're all basically taught one way to live: hustle, push forward, win. But what if there's a totally different way to handle everything life throws at us? Today, we're going to explore 6 powerful structures of bearing. Think of it as a toolkit not for conquering the world, but for actually being able to hold it. This quote right here really gets to the heart of it. Just think about it for a second. So much of our pain comes from this basic mismatch, right? We use a hard, rigid approach for a problem that needs us to be flexible. It's like trying to punch a wave. Of course you're going to lose. Those painful collisions with reality, they happen when we're using the wrong tool for the job. So let's really dig into this core problem. Why do we keep colliding with reality? Well, it all comes down to our default setting. So you've got 2 basic approaches to life here. On one side, you have the path of the dragon. That's Kan. It's active, it's confrontational, it's all about pushing forward. And on the other side, you have the way of the earth, Kun. Now, this isn't about being weak. It's a completely different kind of strength. It's the power of being a container, of being receptive, and finding an incredible resilience in just letting things pass through you. And that brings us to this really cool idea, the architecture of capacity. This is where we learn about the receptive, or Kun, as a totally new way to handle life. Okay, so here's the key definition we're going to be working with. A structure of bearing is basically a psychological container. The 6 structures we're about to explore are like 6 different shapes this container can take. It's a mental toolkit for resilience, designed so you always have the right shape to hold whatever reality is coming at you, whether it's a tiny signal or a huge wave of emotion. All right, let's start with the first 3 structures. Think of these as your tools for everyday life: how you see the world, how you exist in it, and how you actually get stuff done. Now, the flow here is super important. It all starts with sensing, picking up on the faintest signals. From there, you move to grounding, just being in your natural state. And finally, you get to implementation, turning those ideas and feelings into something real. Let's break each one down. So our first tool is all about sensing. And the archetype here is the canary in the coal mine. What does that mean? It means your first move isn't to do something, it's to perceive something. It's about developing this incredible sensitivity to read the subtle shifts in the air before they turn into huge problems. Let's get really practical here. Sensing is noticing that tiny 10% dimming in your partner's eyes and just knowing something is off. It's listening to your body when it whispers for rest so it doesn't have to scream at you later. The trick here is to use what's called the pause of validation. When you feel that subtle shift, you just stop and you make it real. You say, hey, I feel like the energy in the room just changed. What's going on? You're making the invisible visible. Next up, we build on that perception with the grounding structure. The archetype is fertile soil. This is all about being so rooted in who you are, so comfortable in your own skin, that you don't have to try so hard. You just are. And that authenticity creates its own kind of gravity. I mean, this is the power of just being you. When you're truly grounded, people are just drawn to you, effortlessly. Your decisions become way clearer because your values aren't all tangled up. The message here is so simple but so profound. Stop performing. Just give yourself permission to exist and trust that effortless, natural part of yourself. And now for our third tool, the implementation structure. The archetype is the pragmatist. This is about a kind of mature skill, the ability to take a vision and make it real, quietly, effectively, without needing a round of applause. The psychology of this is fascinating. You take your talent as the input, but then you transform it by swallowing your ego. And what comes out the other side is just pure results. You become the engine, not the shiny hood ornament. So the action here is to practice silence in action. Just for a week, try it. Let your work speak for itself. Instead of announcing your big plans, just do the thing and let the results do all the talk. Okay, so we've covered the everyday stuff. Now we are raising the stakes. A lot. These next 3 structures are for situations that involve real danger, huge responsibility, and even the potential for total collapse. This is where being receptive becomes absolutely critical for survival. This brings us to our 4th tool, the sealed structure. And the archetype is the vault. This is the container you use in high-danger situations, where the goal is not success, it's not progress. The goal is just survival. The key here is this massive shift in your objective. You're not trying to get it done, you're trying to survive with no blame. And how do you do that? You make yourself small. You appear totally bland, completely non-threatening.
Think about toxic office politics or a nasty family argument. You become an information black hole. Information goes in, but nothing, and I mean nothing, ever comes out. Your safety is in being airtight. And that leads us to the fifth tool, which is maybe the highest form of this kind of receptive leadership, the sovereign structure. The archetype is the regent. This isn't about being in control or barking orders. It's about providing the stability for an entire system to actually thrive. I absolutely love this distinction. You're not the one sitting on the throne. You are the throne itself. Your power comes from what's called container authority. Imagine a leader during a crisis who doesn't panic, but just calmly absorbs all the fear and provides a steady path forward. Your method is radical humility and just this unshakable calm. In a crisis, that stability, that's the ultimate form of power. So, we've looked at 5 really powerful ways to receive the world. But what happens when this receptive power is pushed way past its breaking point? Well, this final structure isn't a tool. It's a warning. It's a catastrophic failure, and it's symbolized by this phrase, dragons fighting in the wild, a battle where nobody wins. And this question gets right to the terrifying heart of it. This is what happens when the receptive, bearing force of the earth gets pushed so far that it tries to become a weapon. What happens when a container tries to be a hammer? It doesn't win, it shatters. This is a state of mutual, guaranteed destruction. And the solution is just as stark. In this state, there are no clever strategies, no ways to win. If you keep fighting, you will become the monster. The only way to save yourself is total retreat. You cease fire, you acknowledge the loss, and you walk away. Phew! After that intense warning, what's the big takeaway here? It's about this profound shift from a life that's just focused on winning to one that's focused on truly living. Ultimately, it really does come down to this. The dragon, Chen, teaches you how to make things happen. That's the power of flight. But the earth, Kun, teaches you something just as essential, how to let things pass. That's the resilience of landing. And to really navigate life, you absolutely need both. And this is the ultimate promise of mastering these structures. When you have this full toolkit, you have this deep, profound resilience. It's not just about winning a fight. It's about having the capacity to endure, to receive, to hold, and to grow through everything. And that is the difference between just winning a battle and truly living your life.